London, 1776. A Scottish philosopher publishes a book that quietly changes the world. Its title, The Wealth of Nations. Its argument, if you let people pursue their own self-interest to make money, compete, and build businesses, society as a whole becomes richer. That idea didn't just influence economists, it built the modern world. Fast forward, New York, 1929. The stock market collapses, banks fail, millions lose their jobs. Fast forward again, Berlin, 1989. The Berlin Wall falls, communism collapses, capitalism wins. Fast forward again, 2008. Another financial crisis. Banks are bailed out, ordinary people lose homes. Today, almost every country on Earth runs on some form of capitalism, and almost every country on Earth argues about it. So what is capitalism really? Why did it dominate the planet? Why does it create unbelievable wealth? And why does it also create inequality, crashes, and outrage? By the end of this video, you will understand the full engine of capitalism, how it works, why it works, where it fails, and why understanding it makes you better at navigating money, markets, and opportunity. Let's start simple. What capitalism actually is. Capitalism is an economic system built on three core ideas: private ownership, profit motive, markets. That's it. In a capitalist system, individuals, not the government, own businesses, factories, land, and companies. These are called the means of production. That just means the stuff used to produce goods and services. If you own a bakery, the ovens are yours. If you start a tech company, the servers are yours. If you buy shares in Apple, you own part of Apple. Ownership matters because ownership determines who gets the profit, and profit is the fuel of capitalism. Under capitalism, people produce goods and services not primarily because they're kind, but because they want to earn profit. And here's the key insight. Capitalism assumes that when individuals chase profit in competitive markets, society as a whole becomes richer. That's the theory, but how does that actually work? The invisible hand. Adam Smith, the philosopher from 1776, described something he called the invisible hand. He argued that when individuals pursue their own self-interest, they unintentionally benefit society. The butcher doesn't sell you meat because he loves you. The baker doesn't bake bread because he's generous. They do it because they want money. But in trying to earn money, they must provide something people actually want. If they don't, they fail. Competition forces them to improve quality, lower prices, and innovate. Imagine you open a pizza shop. Your neighbor opens one too. Neither of you wants to lose customers, so you experiment. You improve recipes, you lower prices, you advertise better. You are acting selfishly, but customers benefit. That's the invisible hand in action. Now scale that idea across millions of businesses. That's capitalism. Why capitalism took over the world. Capitalism didn't dominate because it sounded nice. It dominated because it was productive. In the 18th and 19th centuries, countries that embraced private enterprise and industrial production experienced explosive growth. Factories multiplied output. Division of labor increased efficiency. Trade expanded globally. One worker alone might produce 20 pins per day, but if production is broken into specialized tasks, one cuts wire, one sharpens, one attaches heads, suddenly a small team produces tens of thousands. This division of labor massively increased productivity, and productivity is the secret behind rising living standards. For most of human history, economic growth was slow, life expectancy was low, poverty was normal. After industrial capitalism, output skyrocketed, technology advanced, living standards rose dramatically in capitalist economies. Capitalism proved extremely good at one thing: producing stuff. Lots of stuff, fast, cheap, at scale. That's its superpower. But here's where it gets complicated. Capitalism runs on ownership, and ownership concentrates. Let's say you start a company. You hire employees, they work. The company makes $1 million in profit. Who gets that profit? The owners. Employees receive wages. Owners receive profits. Now here's the critical insight critics point out. If you own capital, businesses, land, stocks, your money makes more money. If you don't own capital, You trade time for wages. This is sometimes summarized as labor earns wages, capital earns profits, and capital tends to compound. If you own shares in companies, you earn dividends and capital gains. You reinvest, your wealth grows. This is why capitalism often produces inequality, not because it hates people, but because ownership and investment compound over time. Money begets money. The boom and bust problem. Capitalism is dynamic, but that dynamism comes with cycles: expansion, optimism, overinvestment, speculation, crash, recession. In 1929, massive speculation in stocks led to collapse. In 2008, over-leveraged housing markets collapsed. Why does this happen? Because capitalism runs on credit and investment. Businesses borrow to expand. Investors speculate on future profits. When expectations get too optimistic, bubbles form. When reality disappoints, markets correct, often brutally. This instability is one of capitalism's biggest weaknesses. It creates wealth, but it also creates volatility. The monopoly problem. Capitalism depends on competition, but successful companies often want to eliminate competition. If one company dominates an industry, it can raise prices, reduce quality, and control the market. Early 20th century America saw massive monopolies in steel, oil, and railroads. Today, critics argue that tech giants hold enormous market power. When competition disappears, the invisible hand stops working properly. That's why most capitalist countries eventually introduced antitrust laws to prevent monopolies and preserve competition. Ironically, capitalism needs regulation to protect capitalism. The worker question. Another major criticism comes from Karl Marx. Marx argued that capitalism creates a fundamental tension between workers and owners. Owners want to maximize profit. Workers want higher wages and better conditions. If owners reduce wages, profits increase. Marx called the difference between what workers produce and what they're paid surplus value. He believed capitalism inherently pushes owners to extract as much surplus as possible. History partially supports this. During early industrialization, workers endured brutal hours, child labor, and unsafe factories. But here's the nuance. Over time, many capitalist societies introduced labor laws, unions, minimum wages, safety standards, and social safety nets. Modern capitalism in most countries is not pure laissez-faire capitalism. It's regulated capitalism. Which brings us to an important point. Capitalism isn't one thing. There isn't just one capitalism. There's laissez-faire capitalism, where government involvement is minimal. There's welfare capitalism, where markets operate but governments provide healthcare, education, and social safety nets. There's state capitalism, where private enterprise exists, but the government plays a heavy guiding role. The United States, Germany, Japan, Sweden, all capitalist, but very different models. The debate today is rarely capitalism versus no capitalism. It's about how much regulation, redistribution, and government involvement should exist inside a capitalist framework. So why people still defend it? Despite its flaws, capitalism has a powerful defense. It has lifted billions out of extreme poverty over the last 2 centuries. Countries that embraced markets, from Britain to South Korea, saw dramatic increases in income and life expectancy. Capitalism encourages innovation because profit rewards risk. Why did smartphones evolve so quickly? Why do companies race to develop new medicines? Why does technology improve constantly? Because innovation is profitable. The promise of reward drives experimentation. That incentive structure is incredibly powerful. No central planner had to design the iPhone. Competition did. The consumption critique. But here's another criticism. Capitalism is very good at producing things, but are those things necessary? Critics argue that capitalism often directs energy towards profitable but trivial products rather than essential human needs. Luxury fashion, addictive apps, fast food, endless entertainment. Meanwhile, problems like climate change and public health may be under-addressed if they're not immediately profitable. This is not an efficiency problem, it's a values problem. Markets respond to purchasing power. If wealthy consumers demand luxury yachts, capital flows there. Markets don't ask whether yachts are morally important. They respond to demand backed by money. So what is capitalism really? Capitalism is a system where private individuals own productive assets. Production is organized for profit. Markets determine prices. Competition drives innovation. Investment drives growth. It is incredibly effective at increasing productivity and creating wealth. It is also prone to inequality, instability, and concentration of power. It rewards ownership, risk-taking, and capital allocation. It does not automatically guarantee fairness. It does not automatically solve moral problems. It is a tool, an extraordinarily powerful tool. Why this matters to you? You are already inside capitalism. Your job, your salary, your investments, your rent, all shaped by it. If you understand capitalism, you understand why owning assets is powerful, why skills in high demand raise wages, why markets crash, why governments regulate, why inequality emerges, and, most importantly, you understand how to position yourself within the system. In capitalism, the biggest advantage comes from ownership, owning businesses, owning shares, owning productive assets, because capital compounds. That's not a moral statement, it's a structural one. The big picture. Capitalism replaced feudalism. It defeated centrally planned communism. It dominates the global economy, but it is constantly evolving. Every financial crisis reshapes it. Every regulation modifies it. Every technological breakthrough transforms it. The debate is not over. It never will be, because capitalism sits at the intersection of economics, morality, power, and human ambition. It is productive, it is flawed, it is resilient, it is controversial, and it is the system that currently runs the world. Understanding it doesn't mean worshiping it. Understanding it means seeing the incentives, the structures, and the trade-offs clearly. And once you see the system clearly, you stop reacting emotionally to headlines and start analyzing how money and power actually move.